Yes, yes, yes. Welcome to episode 30 of the Swoosh Hoops Podcast. You got myself, Eric, got Armastradamus, Armani, and got
Yes,
Ernest.
yes.
So we are in training camp slash preseason. We got
NBA is
official,
back.
Yeah,
we got
man.
official
NBA's back.
basketball games. That's right. So we started back on last Friday with the Warriors and Wizards out in Tokyo. Now,
hmm
now we're going to the full week of preseason games for the next couple of weeks. Last day of preseason, October 14th. And then October 17th is when the rosters got to get finalized. And then October 18th, Tuesday, that's when regular season basketball begins. So we are in that time of the month where we started seeing preseason games for all 30 teams. Just watched the Lakers play their first preseason game last night. Watched the first Knicks preseason game tonight. Total contrast. Really don't the final scores don't really matter. Just want to see how the teams gel during preseason, and just want to see how each of our teams, specifically the Lakers and Knicks, how our team gels, especially for the starters and the bench roles, and see how does it shapes out for the upcoming season.
hmm
So first, we're gonna start off with the Lakers. Last night, saw some played against the
Play the
Kings,
Sacramento Queens.
Queens, whatever y'all call it. So
Sacramento Queens.
wasn't an ideal effort for the Lakers. Anthony Davis had a double, 11 points, 11 rebounds
In the first half.
first half, but second half, he took it a little easy. And, LeBron, Russ, Kendrick Nunn, who surprisingly looked good last night.
I mean, I would hope so. What? We
Mhm.
haven't seen the man in like a year and some change, so I would hope so.
In the introduction of Pat Beverly, kind of an interesting guard rotation you got going with Pat Bev, Russell Westbrook, and Kendrick Nunn. To see how that plays out under Darvingham, because he's been outspoken during training camp saying that he wants to keep Russ. They're not trading him. They want to see how he can come off the bench or be a starter. He could, or how he plays with a three guard rotation. He team up with Pat Bev in the backcourt, or a combination of Pat Bev or Kendrick Nunn. To see how they play with LeBron and Anthony Davis. So, give us your take on how this is going to play out through these preseason games, and what are you looking for in the backcourt rotation and in general with LeBron and Anthony Davis?
All right, before I speak, I just want to say, like, between our last episode, we reached our 1 year anniversary. So
That's right.
like that is a huge milestone. It's crazy how fast a year can go by. And I really do appreciate working with you guys. I do appreciate everybody watching, people who joined on the show. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate the support. But it's been a year. Time flies. And
Wow, it's been a year.
it's been a
Wow.
year,
It's been a
man.
year.
It's been a year,
The 30th episode.
the
Yeah,
30th
that's
episode,
big.
so that's a huge milestone, and I really appreciate working with you guys, for real. But for what I want to see, like last night, we was able to see a glimpse of it. Everybody just looked fluid, and like I wasn't the two people obviously I was mainly paying attention to was obviously Russ, seeing how he fits, and AD, just like how does he look, AD was able to hit a couple jumpers, which is a good sign. A couple of post fadeaways, which is a good sign. That's something that he really struggled with last season. And then also Russ, when Russ played like he was just thinking too much, he wasn't playing his game. He was able to beat people off the dribble, get to the basket, get some layups, not just like causing like just he had a couple of rust moments, turning over the ball and stuff like that, making bad decisions, but it just overall it just looked more fluid for the unit. I'm not sure if this starting lineup is the unit we'll run with at the start of the season, but obviously like preseason it's an exposition game, so Darvin Ham is trying different lineups, seeing what works and stuff like that. Towards the second half, I know, Eric, you just mentioned that like we kind of dropped off. We got punched by 30, but obviously as a fan, at the end of the day, like you, yeah, right. You of course you want your team to get the W, but you just got to see what looks right and who's playing right. But it was just like I said, it was just a huge drop off, and we're also missing Lonnie Walker, who's dealing with an ankle injury, and we're also missing Dennis Schroeder, who's dealing with like visa issues. I think he should be back with the team about now.
So we have another game tomorrow,
Mhm.
and Troy Brown Jr. is expected to play, as well as Lonnie Walker the fourth. Dennis Schroeder, he should be with the team. If not today, definitely this week. So maybe we'll see him tomorrow as well. But we'll definitely see him at least by the third game, I believe. So we'll kind of see how this roster looks. It did look a little clunky at the guard
It did.
position.
It did.
So I'm interested to see how those other guys kind of fit in the mold. Max Christie kind of stood out to me last night from a defensive standpoint. Amari, what you got?
I was going to say I was really impressed by the bigs, all of them.
Yeah, I would say I would say the only issue with the bigs, I was going to get there. Anthony Davis, 11-11 in 16 minutes.
Not
that means,
him.
No. I'm
Not
just
him.
going. Yeah.
One.
He looked really aggressive.
Right.
The only concern I had is just the offensive rebounds they gave up with Damian Jones on the floor or with Thomas Bryant on the floor,
or Wendy Gabriel.
But the thing with Gabriel was able to give a lot of effort and a lot of energy. So we're gonna get that from him every time he's out on the floor. So with the guard rotation, I'm a little bit concerned, obviously, as to how the minutes sporadic, how the minutes will be disparate amongst the guards. What will that look like? What's the combinations? Austin Reeves didn't look too well yesterday. And again, this is all the first game because obviously LeBron didn't look too good. He was 0 for 7 from the field. So it's going to take some time to all still learning each other. But Cole Swider stood out to me, a positive and negative. Cole Swider can shoot the crap out the ball. That was clear as day yesterday. But also he gets attacked or hunted rather at playing defense. So he gave us some open threes while he was the trailer, running around chasing the road men off the screens. And he was getting targeted a lot. So still some tweaking that has to get done. Russ did look really good. I think he looked very decisive. I think he looked more comfortable in the game plan, which is what you can attest to what happened last season and what that looked like. But also, the biggest glaring issue is the shooting. AD can't get to the rim. Because there's two people in the paint. Or Russ, when they're playing a 4-out-1-in system under Darvin Ham, the whole mantra, and they talked about it like, the guys get the ball, you go get it. Like, don't wait, don't second guess, don't defer. Like if you're getting a rock, go ahead and go get it. Right. So there were times where Russ is getting to the basket at will, and he's drawing two people in, and he's kicking out to JTA. Clank, or he's throwing it out to now Damian Jones taking a three, clank, So I'm just concerned with the shooting. Hopefully that just like improves over time. But overall though, I liked what I see with the energy of the team. They looked fluid, as you said. They seemed like they know the actions that they were running. The spots they were supposed to be in. So I would just say the defense has to get better. Looking for that as preseason goes along, and it's really important that Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and Russell Westbrook get minutes together. that that has to work somehow, some way if Russ is going to stay on the team. Now, I do think something may happen down the line because I don't personally believe that the Lakers organization are going to let a $47 million contract just walk off the books. That wouldn't be smart asset management. So I'm just saying,
you see something happening like
it
like
feels,
not now, but like deadline.
It just feels as if there's so many guards on the team. It's almost like it's going to withstand a trade, but bearing some guards being sent out. So
I was going to say, like, just my theory, like, you guys both know how I felt throughout the entire offseason about Russ, right? It was just like, okay, when the trade news broke about Kyrie, it was like, all right, cool. This is the trade that's going to get Russ up out of here. But then once it didn't go through, like, I know it still kind of like talks about that, like, happening. I know we was talking about next season, like how Kyrie is not in our long-term plans, and that's fine. That's totally fine. But with Russ, it's like I already came to the conclusion that, like, all right, this guy's going to be on the team. This is before we ended up with. This is before we ended up with Pat Bev. This is before we ended up with Dennis Schroeder, and then also like Kendrick Nunn. We thought whatever deal that Russ was going to be in, we thought that either Kendrick Nunn or THT was going to be attached to that deal. THT is no longer a member of the Los Angeles Lakers, So then now we got 4 guards. We got 4 guards. And then even you have a kid, Austin Reeves, who can play the 3, the 2, and the 1. So he can have some ball handling duties as well, too. So it's like, damn, like we kind of tight at that position.
If you
like
really
we really do need a wing.
Yeah, if you really think about it, you have, as you said, Russell Westbrook, you got Patrick Beverly, you got Dennis Schroeder, you got Kendrick Nunn, you got Austin Reeves, and you got Lonnie Walker. You got 6 guards. Right? So, like, Lonnie Walker is going to get minutes because you gave him the MLE. So, like, he has to play. Right? That's a financial decision that the front office made to give him, that money. So he has to play, and that value has to return positive. Kendrick Nunn is also an MLE from last season. That has to pay off. And on top of that, you want to make sure you play him because you also keep his bird rights. So you have that. Austin Reeves, who is up and coming, who, is expected to have a leap year. It's a fan favorite, plays well. The numbers say it as well. Plays well alongside LeBron James, so you have him there. Then you have Dennis Schroeder, who's also not only playing for a contract to up his value again, he wants to be able to prove himself and kind of right the wrongs again of what happened 2 seasons ago.
Right.
Then you add Patrick Beverly, who is going to be a vocal leader on the team, who may not necessarily command the ball, of course, but his play on the court we are going to need. He is a positive asset, with the things he does on the court. And then you have Russell Westbrook, Hall of Fame point guard. Can give you 18, 7 and 7, which is a very, very good stat line. So, and then on top of that, LeBron James likes to play point guard when he wants to. So it's just all these like guys are doing the same thing. So I just anticipate that a trade will happen. Am I saying to all the Russ stands out there? I am not saying I want Russell Westbrook gone. That's not what I'm saying. I am just simply saying it would make probably more sense if you're going to move off some guards. Russell Westbrook would be the ideal because of the amount of cap space going out. And you could bring up to $58 million back in contracts, which means a plethora of depth.
Right. In this case, if whatever trade that makes us better, obviously I'm with it. It's just we got to remind ourselves as fans not to get too emotionally attached to players. You know what I'm saying? So like to the Russ fans and the Russ fans out there, like we've all had. Well, probably not you, Eric, but Laker Nation, we've all had like some moment throughout the season where we're just like, yo, get this man off our team.
Oh, I have plenty. I got plenty on my team right now.
And I definitely felt that way like Christmas Day when we played against the Nets, when when Russ lost his assignment against Patty Mills and Patty Mills hit that three. You know, there was times where there's a whole compilation on Twitter of, you know, the circus music and Russ just turn over the ball, shooting air balls, blowing layups and stuff like that. So like definitely we really felt that feeling of like, yo, Russ gotta go. But now it's just like, you know what? If there's no trade out there that does not make us better, you know, like logically, like because, you know, I'm hearing things from like, you know, people who watch the podcast, people just fans of basketball. Like yesterday I posted a picture of AD, Braun, Russ, and Darvin Ham. And I'm like, yo, let's try this again. Somebody hit me up, was like, yo, Russ got to go. I'm like, okay, if Russ got to go, tell me an offer that you would take. Put yourself in the GM of the Lakers and put yourself in the GM of a team that you want that trade partner to be, and tell me, does that trade make sense on both sides? You know, because you're saying Russ got to go. Like, okay, we're not just going to ship him to Indy for two, like, even though we was considering it, for 2 first-round picks for Miles Turner and Buddy Hill. Like,
can I say something on that trade?
Go ahead.
I people gotta understand, and I post this stuff on Twitter all the time because like people think they think an NBA GM job is like super easy. Like, oh, all Rob has to do is just say, you know what? Since instead of doing the 2 unprotected first, let's just do 1 unprotected first and a pick swap, and it's gonna be a deal. Like, it's not that easy. There's 2 parties to this stuff.
2K too much.
Exactly, and they want to just like belittle Rob. Like, oh, how come he can't do this? Like, bro, you're not in you're not in those conversations. You're not sitting in those rooms. So please, then don't quit your day job. But like the issue I have with the trade is that if it goes down, I don't mind giving up 1 first-round pick for the deal.
Right.
Now, what I have an issue with is that we don't know if Miles Turner is going to commit long term. Right. He's an expiring contract. So if I give up those 2 unprotected firsts for Buddy Hill, which is a negative asset, Indiana, and I'm taking on long-term money, and I acquire Miles Turner, and then Miles Turner decides to leave in free agency, a la Dwight Howard, when what we gave up for him. You and then on top of that, if you don't win a championship, you lose that. You lost the deal. You lose the deal because you lost the guy that was the intricate part of the deal. He walks for nothing, and you lose 2 assets that you don't have down the line in the future, post LeBron, post possibly Anthony Davis. So when Ron Pelinka's like, hey, like, I don't mind, like, I don't care. I don't mind trading the picks. It's not about trading or not trading the picks. It's about, if I trade these 2 picks, especially unprotected, it's got to be for the right deal. If you look at the league, multiple unprotected first-round picks have netted an all-star. That just happened this offseason. So everyone like clamoring and crying all over the timeline or whatever the case may be about, oh, give it, send those picks to, before Bogdanovich was traded. Like, I don't care, send the 2 unprotected first for Bogdanovich, Mike Conley, and Jordan Clarkson and Vanderbilt. Bro, what are we doing? What are we doing? Or call up the Charlotte Hornets and let's get, fuck it, we'll take on Gordon Hayward, but at the same time,
Terry Rozier,
let's get Terry Rozier and PJ Washington and Kelly Oubre. Like, does that move the needle? Kyrie Irving, I'm not blinking. Absolutely, you give him the 2 unprotected. Here you go. Because I know he raises the ceiling. He doesn't raise the floor. He raises the ceiling. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, we got to understand how NBA businesses work in these conversations. Also, the other team taking on Russell Westbrook, that has to be more than likely, that has to be an agreement of a buyout.
Yep.
Because you don't anticipate him playing on that team, especially if you're trying to tank. That man is in his mid-30s and he's trying to win. So he's not going to stay on that team. So it's just like it's all these variables. You can't just be like, call up this team, call up that team. Like, those teams that team got to be comfortable with either 1 taking on Russ and 2 agree to a buyout, and then Russ has a 3rd destination that he finds that he can play that. Like, all this stuff goes into this stuff. It's not just, I just trade you because I just want to trade you. and all the fans do that, and I don't, I don't understand that. So, it's just listen. I just say we see what it looks like. We see how it ends up. Steven Jackson says, I don't even think the Lakers going to be a top 8 seed. Hey, listen, that's his opinion. But listen, at the end of the day,
yes, not to say nothing.
Yeah,
we ain't worry about you. You thought you was Kobe?
It's Kobe. I don't know you like that. Yeah. But it's just I just want people to really understand, like, hey, it's not about like, just getting rid of Russ. Like, you have to be strategic. And if Darvin Ham figures out a way to make it work, kudos to him, right? Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I just personally believe there will be a deal to be made. This is way too many guards for my liking. And I know there's other teams that don't play as big. I just would prefer wing depth, or at least a couple, wings on the roster that you can interchange and kind of spell some of the LeBron minutes.
Yeah. And no disrespect to JTA, but like, he can't be our backup wing, man.
Yeah, like he people are like, oh, JTA is gonna play the Kuzma. Well, Kuzma shot 38% from three. JTA, Juan Toscano Anderson shot, I believe, 31. Like, it's a difference.
Yeah.
So it's just, we just gotta like relax and see what happens.
Sounds like it needs some consolidation.
Yeah, major.
We're not taking on Julius Randle, so relax yourself.
I'm not going there. I'm just saying in general, like, y'all, because it looks like y'all like glutton. Y'all like really full of ones and twos. Mm-hmm. So somehow, some way, y'all gonna have to at least trade at least a couple of them.
And the thing is, when you in my eyes, I know that the game has changed over the past couple of years, and like we got this thing called positionless basketball. But like in my eyes, like Pat Bev is a point guard to me. Like Kendrick Nunn is a point guard to me. Lonnie Walker is a 2 guard to me. So like I get it. Like if you're in today's game, if you're a point guard, you're a shooting guard. If you're a shooting guard, you're a small forward. If you're a small forward, you're a power forward. Like it, man. We all grew up in an era where like your shooting guard was 6'5" and up. So like these 6'2" shooting guards, like it don't help. So it's like I know we're over here talking about like just the overhaul of point guards. Like I feel like we ain't got no shooting guards. Just Austin Reeves and Lonnie Walker. If I'm really being realistic, so that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the Lakers in a nutshell right now. Again, very very early. Again, we'll have a deep dive conversation about all 30 teams in our next episode. But we just wanted to give you guys just a little sneak peek of like how we're feeling and how we're viewing our team. So next up, the New York Knicks. Obviously not making the playoffs last year. Have some expectations where the fan base is expecting a leap of RJ Barrett. I know the addition of Jalen Brunson is going to help. They did play tonight. They did play the Detroit Pistons. They did beat them.
Smoked them. It was 30 last time I checked.
Yeah. And forgive me, I don't know the exact score. I don't pay attention to the score for preseason. I really look at the continuity of the team and the sets that they're running and things that they're trying out. That's really how I kind of view preseason. And then, obviously when the wins and losses actually count, we worry more about the score than the regular season. But for what I saw, the Knicks look pretty good. Cohesive group. RJ Barrett finished with 21 points. Jalen Brunson finished with 16. Julius Randle finished with 15. That is a good start.
Look, I'm gonna just say this. I'm gonna just say this real quick. If you notice, every time we do an episode, we always change our names. Eric never changes his name. Look at his name today. The Knicks are back.
Yeah, because they started playing. Started playing. That's why.
Y'all see this?
We about to listen, yo, Nick. Listen, Knicks fans about to win the home opener, and there's about to be a statue of Jalen Brunson on 34th Street. But listen,
overtime.
Oh man,
we got De Blasio. But the Knicks are back. The Knicks are here.
Yeah, man.
And then it went downhill since then.
Yeah, quick, fast, in a hurry. But no, the Knicks, for their first preseason game, look pretty good. The young guys, Quentin Grimes needs minutes clearly.
Well, he didn't
He
play. He didn't play
I
because
mean,
he had a 4 foot.
Miles McBride. I'm sorry, Miles
Yeah.
McBride. Looked pretty good. I think he needs some minutes. The Knicks look good, man. Julius Randle looked like Julius Randle. He seemed a little bit more less aggressive, and it could just be it's the first preseason game. But Jalen Brunson showed some flashes. Pull up threes. I always loved his game. You can't rush him. Has really good footwork. He's a really good solid like point guard,
Mhm.
and obviously RJ Barrett is looking in rare form. I think the Knicks will be better than people may think. Again, it's just like we need to see this all play out. Cam Reddish did get injured, but he showed some flashes. Looked pretty good. Rob Pelinka. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
it's the Knicks look pretty good, but again, Armani, before Eric goes and lays his astute criticism of his New York Knicks. What did you see? What do you kind of take away from the Knicks, even offseason moves or no moves that they made aside from Jalen Brunson?
God help the Knicks. That's that's really it. Seriously though, but I want to see them do well, and I know we've explained on the podcast, many times just that the New York Knicks being good is good for basketball, and it's good for the city that we live in. I just hope that last year was just a fluke, because we all seen how the Knicks were, 2 years ago when Julius Randle was the man, when they was in the 4th seed and everything, and they made the playoffs. So hopefully they could get back to that type of level. I'm not saying that they're going to be that high on the list because the East get really, really better, but just some competitiveness in the games, especially. I mean, it's going to be kind of hard to talk Tom Thibbs through it, but just like the young guys got to run. They have to play. If the Knicks want to be successful, show some grit, show some fight. I'm not sure what their free agency plans are for like future free agency plans, but if they want to like show teams like, yo, like we're getting better, like top free agencies to come to the Knicks, like that's what they're gonna have to do. That's just my point on that.
Well, so what I saw from tonight was Jalen Brunson is a big upgrade at point guard. It's a real solid upgrade at point guard they haven't had in years. Just the fact that he took control of the offense and basically took control of everything, and having Randall off ball most of the times is going to help Randall a lot. Evan Fournier, to me, I know they need his shooting, but he's better off coming off the bench and putting Grimes in just for defensive length and just to help out Brunson on the defensive end. RJ Barrett, I'm really high on him. Just got that contract extension. He looked really good tonight. I'm expecting a really, really good season from him. Julius Randle, this year I think this is a crucial year for him. After what happened last year, even though he averaged 20 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, it was an empty 20 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. And just the way he played all the year last year, he had some good stretches, but most of all, it wasn't a lot more bad stretches on like this effort. Fans got him home in a lot.
It got to his head, it got to his head.
Especially when you
he
go
thought
back
he was
to
the man.
especially when you go back to that Celtic game back in January, the thumbs down and just cussing people out, cussing the home fans out. That really ticked off the fan base. That's why the fan base got so hard on him.
Mm-hmm.
And also, this is his 4th year. His first year wasn't good. His second year, remember, it was a COVID shortened season, 72 games, and he wound up
No
playing.
fans.
And also, it was a contract year. So He wound up playing a superb game of basketball. His game was like all-star level, second team all level. So he got that contract. Now the contract kicks in this season. He's on the clock because he has no margin for error to make mistakes, especially at home games. Because if he do, the fans are going to be chanting for Obi Toppin more and more and more, and the chants are going to get louder and louder and louder. So Julius Randle's on thin ice. Mitchell Robinson got that contract extension. I think he's going to be a monster defensively. It was a shame 2 years ago that he missed the playoffs because he would have made a big difference against the Hawks just by his length alone. It's just like controlling Clint Capella the way he went off during that series. I'm expecting a good season from Mitch. The bench, the signing that not a lot of people are talking about is Isaiah Hartenstein. And he showed me some things tonight that is going to help the Knicks a lot as a big guy coming off the bench as a stretch five, shooting from the outside. His pass, the way he controls the floor, passing wise, like we saw. It's like for tonight, I saw him in the lineup with him, Cam, RJ, Julius, Jalen Brunson, and Obi Toppin, which was a nice little wrinkle to at least see how that lineup goes, how that rotation goes. The Knicks gonna have to play fast. They're gonna have to speed the tempo up. I know Derrick Rose, he's back with his injury, but they still need to play quickly, more minutes. Grimes, more minutes. I think that's why you're gonna start hearing calls for Evan Fournier to get out of that rotation, just to give more playing time for the young guys, because they do, and also with their length and athleticism on defense, you can start to see something brewing here in New York. I know it was the first preseason, but I really liked what I saw from Jalen Brunson a lot. I just think that with him manning that point guard rotation, it's going to make the game a lot more easier for RJ and Julius Randle, and also the fact that you got him in the fourth quarter just to manage the game and calm down the rest of the team, especially during crunch time. Because last year they lost so many games in the third and fourth quarter just because of no point guard. Yeah, because remember, Alec Burks has point guard and Kemba Walker as the point guard. So once Kemba went down, Alec Burks became the point guard, which was not his natural position.
And you could lock in on Julius Randle. I think with the addition of Jalen Brunson, it gives the defense another player to worry about. As you mentioned earlier, like his footwork. He's a small guard that really uses his body, and that kind of a bit reminds me of like James Harden, just a little bit like James Harden-esque, especially when he's getting into the lane, using his body and like waiting for the defense to keep moving and then, draw contact. So if you have a player like him, constantly attacking on the offensive end, that it wouldn't be a necessity for Julius Randle to constantly like try to get his own shot, like with ISO and moving left and stuff like that. And then you also add RJ Barrett to the equation. So you got kind of like a three offensive game. Like you have options instead of just one person, just trying to like do all the work, because he felt like he was the guy last year. And then RJ Barrett was still trying to figure out like what his game was, like what is his role on the team, But yeah, continue.
But also to piggyback off, now with Brunson, you can let him drive down the lane, drive. That's because that's what Tibbs wants, a point guard who can drive into the paint, kick out to your shooters. So with that element that Brunson brings to the team, now you can at least space out draw and kick out instead of having Julius Randle bring up the ball and bogs down the offense, and it slows down the pace, and it gives you to a bad into a shot clock violation, or a bad shot turns to a turnover. And it was a lot of those last year. So now with Brunson, you can clean up a lot of that. You can erase a lot of that up. Also, you can also, what I'm looking forward to see what Tibbs does, because he's also on the clock, because he has to mix and match and also start playing using his bench a little bit more. You know, so it's like you can use Brunson, quickly, RJ, Hartenstein, Obi, or a combination of that also. And also you might have to start cutting down minutes for Derrick Rose, because he's getting up there in age. He just turned 34. But at the same time, you need to cut down his minutes just to save himself a little bit more, you know, because he just came up with ankle injury. He hasn't played since December. So also now you at least have Derrick Rose as like a emergency backup. But you can still use him in spurts, but not as much as you used to with the Bulls.
I feel like he's gonna be a great help to Jalen Brunson.
Oh yeah.
A huge help. Kind of reminds me of when we had Lonzo and Jason Kidd was on our coaching staff. You know, we felt like they was gonna like learn a lot from each other. So I can definitely see that giving Jalen Brunson getting a lot of confidence in his game. You know, just having D Rose and obviously Tibbs running things.
Yeah, and also if you remember, if you think about last year, also we talked about last year how everything went wrong. Derrick Rose injury really derailed him from December onward, because if you think about 2 years ago, I know Randall had the big season, but if it wasn't for their trade for Derrick Rose, I don't think they finished where they finished in that year. So with him, he literally finished games 2 years ago. So now you get him back. You could like mix and match with him with Rose, Jalen Brunson, and use Emmanuel Quickly or Quentin Grimes in that point guard rotation, which at least you get a semblance of, okay, we can have a combination of defense, of shooting, just also overall basketball IQ, especially in the third and fourth quarters, because that's where the Knicks have lost games mostly, in the third and fourth quarters last year, especially third quarter, because their third quarters last year were just straight awful. And the pace was awful. Their they were last in assists. So on the offensive end, they were not good at all. So I'm looking for them. What I'm looking for during preseason I'm looking for the Knicks in preseason, continuity at point, which you got, just overall continuity in the fourth quarter. But even though they're not gonna really play that much anyway in the fourth quarter, but knowing Tibbs, he wants to play these preseason games as a dress rehearsal for regular season games. Just a combination of Randall, how he fits with Jalen Brunson, because you know Jalen Brunson is going to have the ball in his hands the majority of the time, which is really needed, because we don't need any more turnovers from Randall. Also defensively, if they can get back to the defense the defensive numbers that they were 2 years ago, when they finished first in points allowed, third in defensive rating. Like last year, they started real poorly because of the combination of Fournier and Kemba Walker. And surprisingly, they finished 11th in defensive rating, which was surprising to me, and they finished 6th in points allowed. Well, I'm looking for them to get back. I'm looking for them to at least get back into what they were 2 years ago on that defensive end, like to provide solid defense, just like giving teams trouble, and also a more cohesive offensive playmaking in the fourth quarter, because I think that's where Jalen Brunson comes in, and he's going to help RJ Barrett a lot and also Julius Randle in the closing quarters. But also, do I see the Knicks as a playoff team?
It's tough, man. Like I said, the East got better.
The East did get better, but also at the same time, there are teams in the East that do have a little bit of they are a little bit leaking, you know,
uncertainty. Yeah.
I'm looking at the Bulls. That injury to Lonzo Ball is big because now you got the defensive ace out for another how many months we don't know. The Hawks, I see.
The Hawks are going to be better. Nah, we're not going to do that. No,
listen.
No, Eric. No.
Let me explain.
We did last year with the Bulls, bro. The Hawks, they're a playoff team. They will be better than last year. Like we're gonna get into our predictions and stuff, and we're gonna have an argument about this. The Hawks will be better than the Knicks. Like, and it'll be convincingly. They'll be better.
I just got to see it between Murray, DeJounte Murray, and Trae Young.
Yo,
but also that front line for the Hawks that is not that good, man. I just don't. With Clint Capella and John Collins, who we tried to trade a million times.
Oh my god!
All right, I'll say that for next week.
Oh my god! Go ahead. Yeah,
they're definitely better than the Hornets. I don't know what the hell they're doing down there in Charlotte. Other than that, I don't see if they can get
Philly, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Toronto, Miami.
Hold on, we got Philly, Brooklyn, Toronto, Miami,
Milwaukee,
Brooklyn. That's six.
Yes,
that's six.
Yeah, I said that I don't think that they can crack the top six.
They're not better than the Hawks.
That's 7.
And then
8, 9, 10.
Then you get into the weeds of everybody else. Did we say the Celtics?
Nope. No, that's 8.
Oh my God! Yeah, Knicks are out of there. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about? The top 8 teams are going to be. And listen, I forget about Boston a lot. I am a Laker fan, so I am not sorry. But we have Boston, we have Philly, you have Brooklyn, you have Milwaukee, you have Miami, you have Toronto, you have Atlanta, you have oh my God. Who am I missing now? Now I'm missing somebody else. But anywho,
yeah,
there are 8 teams right now that are better than the New York Knicks. 8, legit.
Listen, I didn't say they're. I didn't say those. I didn't say that Knicks were better than those teams. I'm just saying that I'm not sure if they can crack the top 6 or top 8. That's my thing. That's what
I don't know. All right, okay.
I said I don't know. Like
I mean,
I'm not sure.
The Knicks did get the 4th seed a couple years ago. So hey, listen.
Stay tuned to next week's show as we discuss seeding and all 30 teams.
This is gonna be me and Eric gonna have an episode for sure. This is gonna be crazy. But hey, the Knicks got the 4th seed, so anything is possible.
We'll never know. We'll see.
We'll see.
But I'm just being real about where they stand. They look better than they got much better at point guard. That's what we care about, and they look good tonight, even though it's the first preseason game. Now we got to see it more consistently, which we should get throughout the season, for an injury, knock on wood. But the Jalen Brunson, I think the Jalen Brunson acquisition is going to help out way more than a lot of people think.
Okay, I listen. I give you that. Like I said, I still think the Knicks will be better than what people think they are going to be. And they'll definitely be, for right now, they're definitely a lock, at least to participate in the playing game. I don't know if they'll make it out, but that remains to be seen. But more serious news before we wrap up. Obviously, man, it's been a crazy time in the NBA for the last couple of weeks. In between 2 franchises that us Laker fans enjoy to see in poverty.
And the fans.
But also at the same time, we also recognize how serious these events can be, aside from the fandom piece, and the disgusting things that have happened, with one franchise, and obviously what's going on in the other franchise. There's a lot of questionable things, and things that are very frowned upon and disgusting as well. So, we're going to get into it first really quickly before we end the show. Is Robert Sarver. As we all know, Robert Sarver is an avid sexist. He's an avid racist. He's said things that are inappropriate. He's a those are the things that he has said. He has displayed some
If I'm correct,
vitriol of behavior.
He's suspended, right?
No.
He is. Yeah. So he is suspended, but he is now selling his ownership stake within the team, so he will be no longer affiliated with the organization.
So
here's
my question. What's the difference between the Donald Sterling situation and this situation?
All right. The Donald Sterling
in terms of the punishment, like
the Donald Sterling situation, I think to me because was different. The only reason is because it was caught on wax.
Yeah, it was recorded.
It was recorded. So
and it got leaked out.
This particular is you have a group of people who have been affected by his action and his words versus his word. And I think that's why the punishment was lesser than Donaldson. Do I believe it should have been the same? Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I asked the question.
Right, but I think from a organizational standpoint, from Adam Silver's standpoint, it was we didn't get it on wax. We didn't get the actual proof because at the end of the day, it is he say, she say, or they say versus he say.
There was more allegations than actual proof.
Yeah. So Robert Sarver has elected to sell his ownership stake. He was the largest. He had the largest ownership stake within the Phoenix Suns organization, which made him the majority owner. He is selling that stake. I'm sure it'll be for a record price.
So I saw today that there might be an
investment group
for
that he hired.
They're talking about asking price for $4 billion.
Yeah. So imagine if his stake gets sold, if the Suns get sold for $4 billion, you don't think the Lakers and Knicks will be sold for around 10 to 15? So easily, right? So I listen for the Genie Bus sell the team. Hey, listen, I wouldn't sell the team either, Genie. Don't listen to those people.
Yeah, and same here with the Knicks with Dolan. You're not selling that real estate on 7th Avenue. I'm sorry.
Even though there are rumblings, and I've heard about James Dolan selling his stake. So
there were rumblings about that. So just keep an eye on that.
Yeah. So yeah, Robert Sarver, he's a disgusting human being for the things that he's been accused of. We do not condone that type of behavior, especially within the ownership group, let alone from anyone on the face of this planet since humankind has become existing. So, what are your quick thoughts on this stuff? And then we'll move on to up north in Beantown.
Chris Paul keeps getting in these type of situations.
Man, I feel bad for him.
It's really crazy, man. And this all. I mean, even though this kind of stirred up and like during last seasons, but I don't think like the media like really batted eye. Because like the season was going on, so it was kind of like pushed under the rug, But then the Suns to be projected to go to the finals, win the championship, and then this happens, kind of like you're beating a dead horse. But it's like it is what it is. You do the crime, you do the time.
Yeah, so it's real unfortunate, but the Suns knew that there was a damning investigation that was going to happen since last year. So I think the timing of it is real interesting because the announcement happened right before it started training camp. So when you're James Jones, Monty Williams, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton. There's another issue that we're going to talk about. And you're starting training camp with this distraction, and also the way last season ended for the Suns. This is not a good look for them, and just for them to deal with that situation along with trying to get back into the season. And also, don't forget, they lost a preseason game a couple of nights ago against the NBL team, which
the 36ers?
Yes, the 36ers. I don't know what's going on with that franchise.
Take note. I didn't bring it up. But
I'm bringing it up. I'm bringing it up. So
talk about it.
So I want to. The sun is setting real fast for them. But I just want to say before we move on to Boston, Monty Williams, man, I know he gets a lot of praise, but he's a great coach. He's a great man. He's done really great things for the game, But this DeAndre Ayton thing is
not good.
It's very immature, I think. And I would just, if the relationship is that bad, then why bring him back, right? So today, there were some issues. They during, I guess, their practice or whatever. And I'm going to play the clip really quick, and you'll hear what was asked about DeAndre Ayton, and then you're going to hear the answer. And now, this is days in the training camp now. You guys are playing preseason games, and you still haven't talked to your number one pick, who was part of your quote unquote big three. You know what I'm saying? Or your cacti. So I'll play the clip.
I coach DeAndre every day in practice, and I've already said this. I'm not going to keep talking about every time I sit down and talk with somebody. I'm not going to address it or make a statement about it. I coach him hard every day in practice. You see he's here getting his work in. That's what we expect of our guys. Talking about whether or not I talk to a guy, I think is kind of senseless.
Well, let's sit down and air some things out.
We don't need to air anything out. That's my point. I'm not going to keep addressing that. It's like he's the player, I'm the coach, just like with Book and Chris and Mikhail. DA gets his work in every day. He's at 22 and 12 in 20 minutes. Those are the kinds of things that we expect from him. I don't need to sit down and talk to him about it.
So, did you hear that clearly?
Yeah.
It's just weird because now it just seems like it's I'm just here so I don't get fired type of relationship. I'm just here so I'm just to fulfill my contract, be professional, and I'm out of here. So
we all seen DeAndre Ayton interview when on media day, right? Yeah. And that should have really tell you right there in black and white, there's definitely this is not over. You know what I mean?
There's animosity in
right. It wasn't like Indiana shot them a deal, and then he found his way back to the Phoenix Suns. Kumbaya, everything is done.
He wanted out in Phoenix,
right? And just the way that he answered the reporter was just it was just short, to the point, but it was the emphasis on it, it told you this is not over. They're sweeping this under the rug.
Yeah, they are, and it's just weird that this is happening. If that was the case, then why did you match the contract? Right?
Exactly.
You didn't want to look dumb for losing him for nothing.
But I think this goes back to what you said when Brooklyn was going through the situation when Kyrie, KD, and Harden couldn't get to an agreement. What did you say? What do we all say? Winning heals everything. You know what I'm saying? When Kobe and Shaq was going through this situation, they won games. Who cares?
This is different.
It's different.
Right. Because
but that's what they're hoping. That's what they're hoping.
Yeah, that's what they're hoping.
Right.
But now you have this on top of the Robert Sarver stuff. It's just it's an abundance of issues that are happening. And like there was a clear issue with now. Okay, go ahead and seek out a max deal because we don't believe you're a max player. And they were literally banking on the fact that no one matches a max. No one offers him a max. He didn't get the max. He got an offer from Indiana in which now the Suns saved $40 million in cap space because they didn't have to give him the max. So DeAndre Ayton cannot be traded until
January 15th.
January 15th. And obviously he can't be traded to Indiana for a full season. But I just think the writing's on the wall. The sun is setting very fast in the valley. And you know what? It is what it is, man. I just feel bad for the people that were affected by Robert Sarver and had to work under that man for all these years enduring that and enduring that vitriol and that foul language and that toxic environment that he allowed, and it just sucks. But we go to another toxic environment. And this is in Boston, man. And
let it burn.
Yeah, Ime Udoka is
wow. Just wow.
You guys can go ahead and give your thoughts because I'm honestly at a loss for words of the things that I've heard and read. So, yeah.
I'm gonna start off by saying, when the news broke, right? Like it pretty much took over the media like the entire day. I didn't think it was going to get as big as it did. Like we seen the alert from Bleacher Report, and the next like we just kept seeing it. We kept seeing it on Twitter, we kept seeing it on ESPN, First Take, all that stuff, and like it was like a big deal. And then on top of that, it hit the news. Once it hit the news, like the regular news, like it's a big deal. But my question is, is there another side to this story? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not sure if you guys know anything different. I personally don't. But it's like, okay, there's punishment to one person, but you know what I mean? Like, what's the consequences, right? For the other person in this situation. I did see something. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but if for those who don't know, Ime Udoka, and Neil Long, you know what I mean? Like, so I've seen something saying that, like, I don't know how true this is, that they're in an open relationship. I don't know, but it's just like, first, I'm gonna keep it a buck. You don't cheat on Neil Long, bro. You don't do that. You don't do that.
Tread lightly, man. Tread lightly, brother.
You don't do that, man. You don't do that. But yeah, it's just, I mean, as a Laker fan, it's just like, yo, you're just watching it and just watching like a building being burned. But it's just like, yo, damn, like, man, like this man is like on the verge of losing everything. I'm not sure if you guys listen to Matt Barnes talk about it, but like, yo, he's on the verge of losing everything. A man that took the Celtics to the finals in his first season as a head coach is damn near not about to have a job in the NBA again. It's crazy.
Another distraction for another team that is in championship contention. When we all first got the news around like 11, like late at night, we was all shocked, and it's like now the details are coming in. It's like, okay, so the fact that now he's out, you got to add another voice, a new voice. I know there's a Celtics are a veteran team, but how does that affect them long-term, regular season? And because remember last year, Udoka's first year, it took him to nearly half the season to right the ship and get everything in control, and they made their big run to the finals.
That's RJ Barrett's fault. Just letting you know.
Hey, he made the shot. Let's go. That's all I care.
It's RJ Barrett's fault.
Hey, RJ, listen. If the Celtics would have won the championship, they would have to give RJ Barrett a ring. Okay. But seriously, it's like
That is nasty, bro. That is just come on. I despise Boston Celtics, but that's a little low, man.
hey, 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 I'm with y'all. Like, I don't like the Celtic franchise. So hey, anyway, so on a serious note, it's like now you have another distraction affecting Jason Tatum, affecting Jaylen Brown, who has a contract extension lined up. So, and it's like, okay, if this is coming out now, what happened prior to this happening, prior to this coming out? So now you hear rumblings about what happened during back in July, that they kept it on the hush hush. They like he was going on strong with this, and it was a lot of things were leaking out, and it's like basically he didn't tread lightly, so he just went full throttle. I see. So now he pays for it, and now he's in jeopardy of not even getting an NBA coaching job, not even an assistant coaching job. So that's how damaging this is to him. So, and then plus, I'm like, if you're suspending him, he's still getting paid. So it's like you didn't fire him. So what does that mean? Is he going to be back for next year? So there's still a lot of questions about that. But there's another team that's also trying to make a championship run, like the Phoenix Suns, Boston Celtics. That's another distraction. They have to go through the whole year with a young coach. Even though he's been in the organization for 3 or 4 years, it's still a new system. Trying to get acclimated to the players on the roster and the scheme and the system. So it's a mess for them. So we'll see how they play it out. We'll see how they respond, and hopefully they can overcome it and not be distracted by it all year.
Yeah, man. And hopefully, everyone that's affected can heal from this, and it's a lesson learned. It's a very touchy subject. Because fraternizing at the workplace does happen, but it can get to a point where one person could get aggressive, and then now it's not consensual. Maybe now it's borderline harassment and starting to get to that side. And yeah, so all I'll say is that to conclude is just listen, man, just be respectful of others and make sure you treat people how you want to be treated, and simple as that. So as we conclude our 30th episode, 1 year anniversary, the NBA 2022-2023 NBA season is upon us, and
14 days.
14 days from now. It's going to be some exciting stuff. Tune into next week. I'll be live from probably most likely on the West Coast, but if not, we'll be back on the East Coast, and we'll talk about our predictions, all 30 team predictions. That means we're going to put it on paper, our predictions for the year, which means at the end of the year, if one of us get packed up, or all three of us get packed up, or none of us get packed up, we'll let the fans have at it, and we can revisit, where our stance was on the beginning of the year. So until next time, guys, thank you, and peace out.
Peace.